All right, Toby Gant, thanks for joining us on Grimerica. How you doing?
I am doing excellent.
Good. And thanks for coming on last minute. This will be fantastic.
Go with the flow.
Yeah. So you're on the big island of Hawaii. We were just talking about, I think we had a guest on a little while back. I think he owns a small plot of land there and he was going to do retreats. I'm pretty sure it's the big island because it's not very populated, right?
No,
Very
very
spiritual.
low. Oh yeah, powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good place for a retreat.
How long are you there for on the island?
I've been here a little over 2 weeks. I got to go home Thursday to California.
Yeah.
City. So not
Are you
looking
there
forward.
often?
Yeah, I've been here 4 times this year.
Wow.
This is my soul home. Like it calls me back like a magnet, just pulls me again and again, gives me my recharge.
You do like mushroom ceremonies there all the time, or is this just a specific time where you're going to do that?
No, only when it calls to me. It's not a major focus of my work, more for personal experience or to share with friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is your work then? You're a soul coach, right?
That's right. Yeah. So I did my graduate school in counseling and human development to be a therapist. And then I thought, I don't want to be diagnosing people, labeling people with psychological disorders and billing insurance. So I ended up just kind of taking a different route. And eventually, after my own spiritual reawakening in 2012, I kind of found this path and I started using all the skill sets I'd acquired over the years to work with intuition, my own intuition, and help people develop their own, open up that third eye, decalcify that pineal gland, and really go within to find the answers instead of thinking someone else is the expert, someone else has the answers. I think we're done with that. I think the universe is trying to say, guys, stop looking to someone else to save you. Stop looking to someone else to have the solutions. You are the solution. You are the magic. Quit playing small.
What happened in 2012? We started, like, Darren started the website Grimerica on actually was December 21st, 2012, Darren, I think. And
Yes, that's
we
correct.
started the podcast up a few months later. That was a pretty big, obviously a big step for us. 2012 was really interesting. What happened in your reawakening?
So I grew up very spiritual, went to a spiritual or a religious college, university, and then had a real rough go in my late 20s. Depressed, wanted to die every day for 3 years, trying to fit in other people's boxes, fit other people's expectations. So long story short, I went into survival mode from about 2004 or 5 until about 2011. And then at the very beginning of 2012, I found Reiki through like a Groupon. And the Reiki master introduced me to a yoga teacher, loved it, fell in love with it. I'd already found meditation on my own, but I wasn't practicing. So I kind of got back to it. And then I had an airline credit that I had to use by the end of 2012. And it's like, Big Island, go. And so I came to the Big Island of Hawaii and found my soul's home. And I've been coming back here ever since, as often as possible. I took a year and lived here. Kind of had that midlife crisis in my mid-30s. And really reset. It was like the giant reset button for my life. And this island really helped me hit that reset and take some big risks and leaps of faith that have paid off well, I'd say.
You talk a lot about synchronicities as well, and sort of, I don't know the other word that I was going to use for that, but can you talk about some of those things that have sort of really made you realize like there's some different reality out there?
Heck yes. So I'm here with a couple of friends, or they actually came over from Arizona. And my one friend I was telling you about earlier, she came out here this summer and she was telling me she was in a relationship she needed to get out of. And she kept telling me about this guy that would come to her yoga classes she taught. And I'm like, you sure talk about this guy a lot. Are you sure you're in the right relationship? And she just kind of would give me that look and kind of shake her head at me. But she ended up coming here. We did a little ceremony, and in that ceremony, it was very clear, hey, not only are you supposed to be in a different relationship, but you're actually supposed to become a mom and have a kid. And she was very opposed to that. And when we did the ceremony, I saw it crystal clear. Well, long story short, she told me that she had got that same message independent from me. And the guy she's with now had also got that message. And we all saw a little girl for her. So hadn't happened yet, but they are together now. And I think that little girl is going to be coming probably in the next couple of years. So that's really
man, no pressure, eh?
yeah. But it was really interesting. I took them today up to grandmother and grandfather tree in this virgin, uncut, hidden forest, high up, about 4,000 feet elevation. So pretty high, cooler air. And there's these two trees. They're massive, side by side. And when I first found them a couple of years ago, I was like, holy cow, that's grandmother tree and that's grandfather tree. And everyone I have taken there since can tell me, yep, that's grandfather, that's grandmother. I always ask, I'm like, okay, tell me which one's grandmother and which one's grandfather. People just know, like they feel it. It's not size difference, it's energy. They can feel it. So just weird, fun, little quirky things like that always get my attention. And I feel like those kind of things get all of our attention. Like when you get that sign or you keep getting the 1111 or whatever it is, you're kind of like, all right, paying attention. What do you want me to know? You know.
So this is how the supernatural can be used as a tool to wake people up, kind of. Like I've been through recovery too, so some of what you're talking about reminds me of going through recovery, because I was reaching out for something spiritual. Like I didn't realize there was a spiritual solution to addiction. So when I realized that, I had a bit of a spiritual past myself, and I was like, oh my God, like if that's the solution, like I can dive into that, you know. And although it was a bit new agey, but it was still very much like the synchronicities started to happen, and starting to meditate, found Reiki as well, that kind of stuff. And it was all that stuff that I was kind of hanging on to. Like, this is a different world than I thought, you know, like we have a power to think positively and manifest a better life, like get out of that sort of rut, you know. Unfortunately, it takes hitting bottom sometimes, but I mean, it also made me believe in supernatural things as well, in a way. Because actually, speaking of ancestors, because you do a lot of work with ancestors too. So this would kind of apply. My dad played a part in my deceased father played a part in my recovery. So my girlfriend at the time, it was a really unique night. It was like, you know, it was part of our normal me being in addiction and her sort of wondering what the fuck's going on. But I was out just to keep the story short. And she prayed to my dad's picture on the mantle. Like, there's something wrong with Graham. I don't know what it is. Like, if you could help him, whatever. And that's the night the whole sham fell apart. Like, the whole thing fell apart. I had to surrender that next morning, basically on the couch. You know, she found out sort of everything that I was hiding. And I really do think it was through divine intervention, you know, that my dad somehow played, because a whole bunch of things out of character happened that night. Like my whole management system of hiding everything from everybody in my life fell apart that night.
Absolutely. Our ancestors are so helpful. Like, I didn't ever have any encounters with the supernatural or ancestors, especially ancestors, until I was an adult, and particularly ancestors, like already in my 30s. The first time I felt an ancestor was the week my grandmother died, 2014. So I was kind of into that awakening already. And she had dementia really bad. And I had this crazy intense dream where she came to me very coherent. We had a full-on conversation, and she said a bunch of stuff to me. And I kind of woke up and thought, I got to write this down. And lo and behold, I fell asleep and I forgot every word she said. I woke up remembering that I talked to her, but I was so mad that I couldn't remember what she said. I was really mad at myself, kicking myself. But 3 days later, I went to a yoga class, and in the corpse pose at the end, she audibly came and said, Toby, I've had a good life, but it's time for me to go now. I love you. And we called her Mama. I said, Mama, you don't need to stay in that suffering body anymore. We love you. We're so grateful for everything you've done. Just go ahead and be free. A couple of days later, she leaves her body, and she's come in dreams since then. She's funny, actually. My grandmother was proper and serious in real life, And in my dreams, she showed up this one time in yoga pants, an 80s sweatband around her head, and she did the splits. That was not her personality, but she was trying to let me know, hey, I'm actually doing pretty well over here. I'm pretty happy and having fun, and I want you to know things are good. So I laughed when I saw that. This island played a role for me with my grandfather. He died when I was 3. We called him Pawpaw. He was a rancher and farmer in West Texas. And I remembered him, but not well. And I went and I was doing some garden work here on the island. And I felt him for the first time. And I didn't hear anything, but his energy overwhelmed me. And it's like he was saying, I'm proud of you for getting your hands in the soil and doing something kind of like what I did. And I mean, I was bawling because I could feel him for the first time. But he's come through since many times, especially when I need to forgive a family member or let go of pettiness. And let me tell you, I was so mad at my mom. I didn't speak to her for 5 years. And my pawpaw was like, he said, grab your pen and some paper and start writing. And the words just flowed. He was like, the reason you're so mad at her is because you two are so much alike. You need to get over yourself and quit judging her for judging you. And he had me laughing. And it was pretty funny. And yeah, I mean, it's just been amazing having their connection. And then they've kind of been like, hey, help other people feel that connection with their ancestors. Because you can say stuff and maybe it'll help. But if they feel or sense or even like meditate and visualize their loved ones saying what they need to hear, it's going to be more powerful.
So how do you do that? How do you talk to them? Do you pray to them? Do you are you just open to listening to them? Like, how do you actually make contact?
Yeah, I wouldn't call myself a full-on medium because I've known some mediums and they full-on see the family members and get names and all of that. When I see something, it's almost always going to be internally. So I close my eyes when I meditate for clients or friends, and then I kind of feel it. I'll feel words. I don't hear with these ears, but the words will come through in my heart. I can sense male, female, grandfather, grandmother, that sort of thing. I don't get names really, but I can feel like some characteristics. One time this happened with a client. She had a really bad childhood. Her grandparents raised her. And long story short, she had a session with me that day. We couldn't get Zoom to work for anything. We tried phone calls. They kept dying off on us. You know, we tried like a Facebook Messenger call. Nothing was working. And we finally got about 90 seconds to talk before the phone died. And I said, I wonder if someone's trying to get your attention. And she said, Toby, my car electronics and my stereo's been going crazy all day. That's never happened before. And then the phone died. So I called her back and we get on the phone and I said, someone wants to say something. We are listening. What do you want to say? And we both meditated. I felt it was her grandparents. She got some messages. I helped her get some messages. And then when it was all done, she said, wait a minute, Toby, what's that noise? Her front door opened and closed by itself on her house. And that was it. The message came through, the door opened, closed, they left, they were done. So it was pretty interesting.
So how else, like, because I have a hard time imagining how I would feel that unless it was a direct dream message or like, you know, because I've had dreams of my dad or my, you know, deceased ancestors before, I guess. But how else would it, because it's hard to imagine getting messages if you don't actually get them, you know, like how else do people receive that? Like you mentioned that direct download of what you wrote down, like you wrote something down.
Yeah, I've done that with, I remember another client, her mother had died, really tragic circumstances. She thought she might've been murdered. And I went by myself with that one, got my journal, just tuned in and started writing. And her mother was funny. Like I didn't know her mom. I'd never met her, but she was cussing like a sailor, but in a fun way, a jovial way. It was hilarious. And I just said to her, I said, did your mom cuss a lot? Was she funny? And she was like, yeah, she was. And she just kind of had some stuff. She actually kind of said, no, I wasn't really murdered. It was health issues. And she had some messages for her, but that sort of thing. But I like to do guided meditation, real simple, basic guided meditation. Breathe. Belly breath, conscious breath. calm the mind chatter, and then I help people just feel and sense. You know, if someone just gives you permission to not doubt those inner feelings and thoughts and not think they're silly or your imagination,
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all it takes. It's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, I guess I have meditated before, or I have felt things before. I just disregarded them.
What about that time like when you're doing your meditation and you had that thing from Egypt, right? Going down into the pyramid and the chambers, you had that message. Like, how did that come to you?
That was pretty cool. So I do a weekly workshop with a group of people online, and I was teaching holotropic breathing exercise, which is supposed to kind of release some DMT, not a large amount, but it's supposed to release DMT naturally. It's a pretty intense breathing exercise. So I thought I better try this new breathing exercise out before I teach it to people. So I'm doing this breathing exercise, and it's pretty intense, and you get lightheaded, a little bit like Wim Hof stuff. And then I sit down, close my eyes, and I meditate. And it's like I'm looking down at the Giza pyramid. I don't know which one, but it was a big pyramid in Egypt for sure. I'm looking down and I'm drawn to the pinnacle. And then I zoom down through the sky, enter through the pinnacle, and end up in a chamber inside. I don't really see like a mummy or a corpse or anything. But I got this message. I even wrote it down. It was so just poignant. It was the ancient Egyptians focused on taking this life with them into the other side. You, however, are wise to focus on bringing the other side into your 3D life. And I was like, okay, all right, I like that. Let's bring a little more of that high vibe 3D stuff here and not think it's all about when we die and things being good then. And that's hard because the world's a mess right now, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, heaven is a place on earth.
That's right. Ooh, baby. Don't you know it?
No, I mean, you've talked about the different types of awakening and also having to, like, how do we navigate deception, in this day and age? Because we are living in this fucking crazy world where we have to just not get dragged down with it, right? I think the way you worded, like I was reading some of what you wrote to me, and the way you worded what I try and describe as like not being attached to this negativity, but sort of watching it from a sort of a detached point of view. So so you're informed, but not like attaching your emotions to it and not getting connected to it.
Yeah.
But you worded it a little better than the way I can describe it.
Well, I don't remember exactly wrote, but I feel the energy of it. And that is, and I got to tell you, like, I love my podcasts. I love finding out what's happening from, alternative media where we can find out a little more truth. But then sometimes it's like, oh, it's hopeless. Everything's shot. What do we do? But then I keep getting that inner voice saying, look, yeah, the world's crazy. It's going to shit, but it's going to shit so it can actually get better. But you're not supposed to focus on what's shitty. Be aware of it, understand it, but put all of your energy and effort and focus into creating that new paradigm. Darren, you being more sustainable with food, hunting, like, it's amazing, feeding your family off the land, maybe not all the time, but, to a certain extent, you've got a skill set that is about creating a new, more sustainable paradigm. That's huge.
Well, it's an old one, really.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. It's going back to the old ways. Yeah.
But I think we just got but do you think, here's the question, can 8 billion people do that? Or do we got to lose half? Or is there a number?
I get where you're going with that. Here's what I'd say.
That's a good question.
I don't have to answer that or do it. Not my fish to fry. I'm tempted to want to control that answer and say, who are they to play God? I don't have to do that. I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of people on the planet that are sheep running headlong into the slaughterhouse. I'd like to stop them, but is my energy best served begging, pleading, screaming, trying, arguing with those people? Or is my energy better served going, all right, that's their journey, that's their choice, I don't like it, but I need to stay focused on creating the new, the beautiful, the positive.
Darren, did you mean is the world big enough for everybody to take on this new, to create? Is that what you meant, Darren?
Well, just to like live like that, you know, hunting or raising your own cattle or taking your own food. Because like I feel like back when the peasants had to do that shit, they just still had a little more land than we have, you know. Like most of us are living in a fucking shoebox in the side of a bigger shoebox, you know.
Yeah. I don't think everyone's going to go live out in nature or have a regenerative farm. It'd be pretty cool. What I do know, coming to this island, it's so lush. On a very small piece of land, you can raise insane amounts of food. Now, in a cold climate, it's tougher, for sure, a lot tougher. But here, it's very doable. I met a woman the other day. She has 1.7 acres, not a huge piece of land out in the country. She has 385 cacao trees on that piece of land, plus a house. I didn't know you could fit that many in there. That's pretty cool. You know, she's able to grow a food crop, a large amount of it in a very small piece of land.
It's not illegal.
Not illegal. Cacao, cocoa, coconut, or chocolate?
That's
not cocoa. Not cocoa. Not cocoa.
I was gonna say that's super lucrative. I mean, Jesus.
Should be rolling in it then. That'd be real sustainable.
The Big Island looks dope. I mean, I was mixed up. I was thinking because we were gonna do the event. The original event we were gonna do was on the main island. I think, you know, whichever one everyone lives on. Is that Oahu?
Oh yeah, that's
we're gonna do it there. Oh. But then we teamed up with
oh right,
I can't remember the show. Rained Out Cast, or what was it? Was it Rained Out Rantcast?
Roman.
Anyway, Roman. Yeah, and then we were looking at the Big Island. And we have a friend, Tommy, who's got a place on the Big Island, who's constantly telling us to get out there and check it out. And I think I could just go like hunt sheep too all over the place. Or not sheep, sorry, but some kind of deer, right? Isn't that place overrun with some deer I can shoot?
No, Maui, they stock deer. They brought them in. This island's full of wild pig. So, you know, if you're local, you can go pig hunting and, you know.
I'm an Indian, not a local Indian.
You know,
not like a sea Indian.
Make
like sea Indians.
They'll take you. Just make some friends. They'll take you. I had someone take me fishing the other day. I lost an expensive.
Did you catch anything?
I didn't. They got my bait. Got a lot of bites. Lost a big lure, but I didn't catch anything. But it was pretty rough. The sea was pretty rough, so it was kind of hard.
I get sick in that shit.
Well, I was on the cliff casting out.
That's not too bad. Yeah, okay.
No, this place is endlessly epic. And I know a place I did my last retreat just up the road. They have a geothermal well. So hot water, natural, straight out of the earth, and soaking tubs. So there's all these outdoor soaking tubs. If you have a group, you can just soak under the stars and kick back in the hot water. It's pretty epic.
Oh, yeah, that would be a good place to do some cold plunging too. Jump in and out of the hot and cold water.
Yeah.
Get eaten by a fucking shark. Bam, motherfucker.
Every year someone's going to get eaten by a shark. It happens all the time. Not me.
Really? Are you being real?
Yeah, people get eaten here. There's
that ain't fucking happening. I am not interested in getting eaten by a shark. I had like a dream when I was a kid or some sort of fucked up thing. It might have just been from seeing the movie Jaws. Yeah. But I was like jumped in and I was swimming for the little blow up raft. And I was like bobbing, you know, and I was swimming with bobbing, and I was just like, fucking fuck this shit, man. So I don't go in the ocean. I don't mind the lakes and stuff. I'm a pretty solid swimmer, but I will not go in the ocean.
What?
I can't see the bottom. It is not fucking happening. I'm not going out like that.
Is this a new thing? I don't think I know this about Darren.
No, this is I've never been in the ocean past like my armpits.
Whoa. Wow. Well, the only beach here, because
I've been out in the ocean, like in a boat, fishing, doing that kind of stuff. But I'd like we all went out and they all went like jumping, snorkeling, and they're like, "Yeah, your turn." I was like, "Not a fucking chance, man. I will be at the bar."
Or shark bait, one or the other.
I'm not. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like 1 in a million. Yeah, but it's zero. It's zero if I'm not in the ocean. So my chance is 0 in a million.
That's right. Don't even go on the boat. Forget it. It's not worth it.
I don't mind the boat if it's a big enough boat. You know, like even the catamarans too that have the double hulls, so they don't get wavy. But when them little, I thought I'd be fine. But I went out and I was fucked up, Toby. I was like curled up in a little ball in the front of the boat, and we had paid for this whole like 8-hour excursion, and I was like, they gave me lunch and shit, and I was just like, fucking, I can't fucking eat, man. Gee, I was just in the front of the boat, fucking laid the fuck out.
Oh man, the first time I went ocean fishing, I was in high school. My dad took me in the Gulf of Mexico. I got sicker than a dog, so sick. And they had a little snack bar on the boat, and the woman who ran it was 95 years old and wore a Dolly Parton wig. Her name was Mib, M-I-B, like Men in Black. I will always remember her. She told me to drink pickle juice, which I hate. She said, it'll make you better. She was salty. I drank that pickle juice and I threw up. But I won the jackpot on the boat that day for catching the biggest fish. And when I caught that fish, it all went away. Like all the nut was gone. I was like, yeah, I won. I caught the biggest fish. But yeah, that was pretty fun. But I have to tell you, one time, there's only one beach around here. Most of this coastline is jagged lava cliffs. But there's one little black sand beach, stunningly beautiful, huge waves. So if you know how to get in, me and my friend from South Africa, she was in the 2008 Olympics, strong woman, terrified of sharks like you. So she made me go with her. We'd go way out there in ocean swim. One day we're way offshore, swimming, and all these dorsal fins pop up around us. And I mean,
What
you know, exactly. I mean, I was like, holy shit, we're going to die right now. And then something made me think there wouldn't be this many sharks. This has to be dolphins. And sure enough, it was dolphins. And it went from,
dude, that's
I'm
just
gonna die
lucky.
to
You just got lucky. Sometimes there is that many sharks, and it's right before they fuck you up.
There's only like 57
eat
shark.
you.
There's only like, I think there's only 57 shark bites a year, like unprovoked. I mean, lions kill more people every year than sharks. So lions
How
kill.
many per boat?
How many per boat?
How many do moose kill?
I don't know how many moose kill, but I mean, that's pretty negative stuff to be talking about. But I was swimming with the dolphins in, where was that? Was it Hawaii? I think it was Hawaii. Yeah, it was pretty epic. They didn't really want to come too close to me though. You know, some people get to like grab onto them and get towed around. It was hard, but I definitely went down and went swam with them for a bit. I never
Out in
worried.
the wild? Was it in the wild?
Yeah, it was in the wild. Yep. It's a little island off Maui. You might know where it is, Toby. I think it's a little weird, a little island off of Maui.
Did it have a pineapple plantation on it?
Probably. Say it again.
Lanai or Molokai?
Lanai, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that the one that just burned down?
No, that's
Lahaina.
That's intense. Yeah.
Were you around it? Were you around Hawaii when that happened at all?
No, but I had flown over Maui a few weeks before, maybe a couple months before, and remember thinking that looks like California dry season before it bursts into flames. And then there's so much chicanery and shenanigans around all of that. But again, it's like my blood boils when I look at that and get frustrated at all the crookedness that went into that. But then I go, wait a minute, pull back, breathe, stop. Are you supposed to be angry about that? Or are you supposed to be creating the new? And I have to come back to that every day. Because my blood can boil.
So you go from, you intentionally tell yourself, create the new.
And
even though if you don't know what that looks like that day or whatever. So how does that mechanically manifest into like what you're doing that day or what you're doing that week? And maybe not you personally, but for somebody else, like.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is once you know your path, what you're here for. Like I see both of you guys, you know what you're here for. You're doing it. You know, it'll evolve and change over time, but you know what you're doing. No, don't even doubt it. Like I'm putting out content. I'm awakening people. I'm helping people expand their thinking, think of new thoughts and ideas, new things they can try. It's powerful, very powerful. So you're on your path. You're already doing it. For you, it would be a matter of, oh, I'm so frustrated and angry about that thing the WEF is doing or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
I will pull my anger back, and I'm going to go create the best damn content I've ever made today. I'm going to go interview the shit out of someone, not literally. That's where it goes. Put that energy into creating the new. You know, some people have that gift to go build communities and build like Adobe sustainable homes and earth ships and all that. Awesome. I don't have those skill sets. I wish I did. So I'm not going to go necessarily build ground up a permaculture farm myself. Maybe I'll help someone someday, but I got to focus it where I'm meant to focus it, on what my gifts, my talents are, my passions are. And that's what I see you both doing already. You just got to give yourself some credit for it.
So when you say to yourself, create new, then what does that look like for you then? You'll focus on your purpose?
Yeah, focusing on my purpose. Like, I make a good mirror for people. I work with people one-on-one and in groups, and I help them kind of go within. Like, let me hold up this mirror, look in it, see what's deep inside of there. You know, that's what I do. That's where my focus is meant to be. Now, the ego comes up and goes, that doesn't make any difference. You know, that's not making an impact on the world. But here's the thing. If we could see energy, and I know a few people, I'm sure you've met people that say they see energy. I don't with my physical eyes, but if we could see into the energy realms beyond the visible light spectrum, we would understand that when we do that one kind act, or we share our gift with one person, it's rippling out so much more powerfully than we give ourselves credit for. We just, we still have ego. We're going to have ego till we die. And it's always going to be going, yeah, but you're not doing enough. Oh, what you're doing is stupid. Whatever it says to you, whatever your thing is, it's going to bring that up all the time. But I do think we can get better at not feeding the ego, not giving it the chance to control our thoughts and behavior and emotions.
Yeah, I like that. So I think one of the most important things that we got to talk about too today is purpose and meaning, and especially for younger people nowadays, like especially with how we've been brought up in the school system, sort of more of a non-spiritual kind of atheistic, non-meaning universe. And then with all the other problems that that are going on in the world, the economy and all this stuff, not only do they not have meaning, but the means to do what they, what maybe we would manifest 20 or 30 years ago for ourselves. We just kind of worked when I graduated, I just sort of went into jobs, and then I was fortunate enough to be able to travel for a while and then go back just to start working. I was able to get jobs whenever I kind of wanted to. I've always been able to just get work, but how do we get young people to find purpose and meaning?
Well, it's interesting because I don't have kids, but I watch people who have kids. They're coming in really smart and tuned in, but then we got this system that's like sucking the life out of them, and it's, parents, more power to you. You have a harder job than ever before to prevent this crazy world and these broken systems from sucking the life force out of your kids. But I think part of it is too, we're in this weird time where the old systems really are crumbling, and they have to crumble. Like, I wouldn't want my kid to go work some meaningless corporate job for 40 years just so that maybe they can live to retirement and be miserable on 42 pharmaceutical products. That's not a life. I know it looks shitty now, but these kids now, as weird as it is, as confused as they are, they're going to emerge from this, and they're going to come out stronger than we did. I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, 1 year. I don't know. I don't know the timeline. I don't have a crystal ball that tells me that. But I guarantee this is a pivotal time. Now, there have been other pivotal times in Earth's history. We're not the only ones to live in a really, really important pivotal time. But Darren, you're here at this time for a lot of powerful purpose. Graham, you're here at this time for powerful purpose. And if you could see the energy of that, I don't know, may your soul give you a dream so that you see these waves rippling out from you. That would be amazing. But if you could see the ripple effect of what you do in the energy realms, you'd be amazed. you wouldn't buy into what the ego says. And I think these kids are figuring that out slowly. And I have to say, I've had some younger clients lately in their 20s. Man, they're not buying into all the woke stuff. I've even had 3 clients in Manhattan, like New York City lately. They're not buying the woke shit, which is kind of amazing. It gave me a whole lot of hope because I kind of was thinking, oh man, it's all shit.
How
They all
old?
buy it. Mid-20s, so post-college.
Oh,
all
well,
3 of
that's
them.
even more interesting because my kids are all young, like, and none of them buy into it either. I mean,
Oh, really?
They like calling stuff gay like we did when we were kids. You know, it's like, you know, it's a little homophobic. I couldn't be prouder.
Oh God. Wow.
You know, but not really. They don't hate anyone.
Of course
But,
not.
you know, it's like, I can just see it. And my kids are obviously gonna be
Rebellious.
rebellious. Yeah. But it's all their friends too, you know. It's not, and I'm sure we don't see all the kids, but like their entire sort of friend group seems to be rejecting it. And I've got
Good.
like one of my kids' homework assignments, my older one is in junior high, was like, I had to present arguments against climate change. It's like, what are the top 3 arguments for climate change? Now, like, find out why those are bullshit. And it's like, or one science teacher's like, man-made climate change is bullshit. And I mean, my oldest and now my youngest will go next year and but both had the grade 6 teacher was like, turned out to be a listener of the show. I emailed him one day and he's just like, oh my God, you're the American guy.
Oh.
It's like, oh God. I mean, out in this little town where I'm at, I couldn't be happier with the way things are going for their education. When you see that handout come home after all the stuff I'm seeing on the internet and stuff like that, it's like, maybe there is hope, at least in Alberta.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I'd always wonder, how do you guys handle Canada? Like, I mean, California was about to kill me, but I have to tell you, then that little voice inside was always like, Toby, you need to be there now. Your energy is rippling out in this place. Be there for this time, not forever. For this time, you're fine. You can do it. And I keep getting that. Like, I don't have the green light to leave California yet from my own soul. It's like, nope, stay. But then I hear about what's going on up there, and I'm like, oh man, that's way worse. But then again, I think there's something to that. Maybe you guys are holding a frequency that you're not even aware of that literally geographically is rippling out. Now, I know that sounds really woo-woo, but I tell you, I learned this. I have this amazing friend from college. She has cerebral palsy. She's very independent, but you know, she definitely has some mobility issues. But I've known her since our first week of college, freshman year, 18 years old. Amazing, strong woman. How do I put it? She's not someone who does a lot. Like, I'm going to go make a lot of money. I'm going to go achieve and accomplish all these measurable goals. Long story short, she inherited a little bit of money so she can live comfortably. But she's just frequency. Like, she's this frequency of light and love. And I tell you, going to visit her and just watching how she lives, I was like, holy shit, we're not human doings, we're human beings. Like, it's not about what I do or how much I do. It's about who I am while I'm doing it. Or not doing it, just being. Like, can we let our egos go enough to go, even if I'm just sitting here, you know, scratching my ass, maybe I'm rippling out powerful frequencies that are helping the planet. Can our egos handle that? Some days, yeah. Some days, no.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think, I mean, even though I bitch about Canada all the time, it's really such a subtle thing that it's actually, it's going to be a while before it gets really bad, right? Because in a lot of ways, it doesn't really affect us. I mean, a lot of stuff's taken care of. We're kind of a nanny state where, you know, where I know there's way more homelessness now and drug addiction and stuff is not any better. I know that all that, but in other words, other than that, there's, you know, the chronic, I mean, I don't want to get into naming all the negative things, but it kind of enables us to sort of just function at this level, even though things are getting more expensive and all that. Like, there's nothing really, it's different. It's different than
It's like the train's not broken enough to come off the rails, you know. It's like careening down the tracks. We don't know where it's going to stop.
and it's stressing people out slowly because they can't afford to. They can hardly afford to live, right? And then people can't. Young people, like I don't know how people getting like a minimum wage job even can afford shit. It's but it's.
If I was a young person, I'd look at it like this: the competition has never been fucking weaker. Never been weaker. It's never been easier to stand out. And I mean, if you do happen to be Canadian, get your ass to Alberta, Saskatchewan, because Canada might be a shithole, but in a lot of ways, Alberta and Saskatchewan are on the cusp of being, maybe some of the freer places, besides the gun stuff, and we're still stuck under some Canada stuff, but we're going toe to toe with the federal government on all the right things. So it's like, the best you could sort of hope for. If Alberta ended up separating, I mean, then I don't know that thered be someplace I'd rather be. If I was going to go any place, I'd just head south a couple hours.
Absolutely.
Hawaii sounds great.
It does sound great. Terrible during COVID. Like this is my soul home. I wouldn't come here while there were any restrictions at all. I was like, I can't have my soul home ruined by craziness. So I just waited till all the silliness was done before I came back here. But again, like we have emotions. We're humans, so we're going to have those emotions. We're going to get worked up about stuff. And then if we're on that soul journey, we go, okay, all right, what good am I doing by being pissed off? And then we go in and listen to that voice within. It's like, all right, here's what you got to do. Go be kind to your neighbor today. Go make the biggest podcast episode you've ever made today that reaches 10 million people. And then tomorrow it's like, go take out the garbage. Yeah, but I want to go do that. Go take out the garbage. Like it's not about how big or measurable, any of that. Who are you when you're doing it?
Yeah.
Who I'm doing it. That's what it's about. Ego hates that. Ego wants to measure. It wants to measure. It wants, a dollar amount to attach to it. But it's not about that. Not at all.
I think in the decades ago, we used to sort of call that like being a people person, like being just helping people out, being easy to get along with, like that was the way to get ahead in jobs and in things. It's just, you gotta be easy going, get along with it. That was almost being like, that's almost what you're saying is who you are when you're doing it, right? Having the right attitude and kind of being a go-getter. Like, I like that. Interesting. That seems to be kind of disappearing in a lot of ways. People are more victims these days, it seems.
Well, labels. People attach to labels. Labels are ego related. I'm a vice president. I'm a Republican. I'm a Labor Party. Whatever. All that's bullshit. That is another huge download that just keeps coming back to me from higher consciousness. Like, stop attaching to labels. Stop identifying as, I'm this gender, I'm this sexuality, I'm this or that. Stop. That's not who you are. That's not what you are. Maybe it's a thing you like or a thing you do. Great, but it's not who you are. Stop identifying as that. I do think that's a big challenge for what younger generations are being programmed into. But the good news is, a lot of times kids want to rebel. So all this bullshit being pushed on them, maybe it's reverse psychology. They're going to go, fuck this. I don't want that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, because it's the system and the whole structure that's acting like there's some kind of counterculture, but that's not. They're the main ones pushing it. So the rebellion would be not to be like that. It would be not to identify. That's the interesting thing.
And we're the crazy old adults that the rest of the parents are like, so stay away from them kooks.
Absolutely. No, I got to tell you, the biggest one is the labels. This polarization is based on people identifying with their labels. Now, I'll just say, I hate this label. I'm going to use it to give you a way to understand more about me. I am attracted to men. Do I use the gay label? Fuck no, because that has all kinds of baggage and connotation with it. But I look at people who are so obsessed with their sexuality and their gender identity that they do not know who they are at all. And it makes me cringe, it makes me mad, it makes me sad. But then I'm like, wake up. That's not who you are. That's not what you are. Stop getting stuck in labels and pronouns and all that shit, because that's not who and what you are. It's an aspect of your human experience, but it's not who you are. I am a soul being. I am pure consciousness, temporarily in a body with emotions and a mind and an ego, but it doesn't define me. None of that stuff is me. It's not me. And we need to stop taking ourselves so seriously, because that's the other thing. When you're a victim, you get butthurt, offended really easily. We need to stop doing that. Enough. Yeah. Laugh at yourself. Don't you guys miss the funny movies of like 15 or 20 years ago when movies could actually be funny? Like, they can't make those movies anymore. You know, they're afraid of offending someone. I've missed that stuff.
Well, that's just it. I feel like there was a little more love when we just poked for a little fun like that. You know what I mean? It was like we were joking around with each other, and it was like, but there was no fucking hate. I don't know. There was, at least where I grew up,
At least
there
we were
wasn't.
trying not to hate. We were trying, because we
And none of
learned.
those people grew up into be hateful people either. You know what I mean? Like, none of the people that grew up calling each other fags, and I mean no offense by that, Toby, but none of those people grew up to be fucking assholes. You know what I mean? They, if anything, they grew up to be less racist and less all of that than like, well, I mean, you said some of the 20-year-olds now, but that woke stuff is the opposite of what it says it is.
Totally. It is racism. It is. But, you know, I grew up in small town Texas, which some people would say is very backward. But I got to tell you, there's so much more racial harmony and just people harmony overall there. Now, were there some backwards things? You better bet. Like, if you were gay, forget it. You're going to get picked on hardcore. But as far as race, people were not. I'm sure there were some old folks there that were racist. But growing up there and going to high school there, no one in my high school felt racist to me. No one.
And how old are you?
27, 44.
44. Okay, so same, like right around my age then. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could be 27. You had me. I thought you might not be 30 yet.
No.
How old are you, Darren? You're 43, right? 43, Darren?
42, baby. Wait.
42, yeah.
Is it I was born in 81.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I might be 43. No, I'm 42 for a little while, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I moved to California in 2005, it was very noticeable to me that there felt like there was more racism and racial tension, even though it, you know, proclaims to be more open-minded. I was like, wow, people like more back at home. This is weird. You know.
Well, it's kind of like, you know, what are you and your buddies doing all the time? You know what I mean? Most when you get a couple buddies together, I don't know about the D&D guys. They might be doing something different, but usually you get a couple buddies together and you start busting each other's balls a little bit. You know what I mean? A little bit teasing, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And that's just, it's like part of the thing. You know what I mean? That just sort of builds bigger bonds, I think.
Yeah. If we're not brutal to each other, you don't feel loved. You know, like there's a little bit in the brutal word banter that, you know, you feel loved, you feel accepted, you feel welcomed in. But I think the backlash will bring the pendulum back to more common sense with all of that. We need that very much.
Definitely. So. Let's talk about.
It's gotta been super frustrating to you to see, I mean, what's happened on that side of things over the last decade.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me is just like lost ground. Like it used to just be like we are who we are and that's it. And everyone's great and everyone's perfect. Doesn't matter who you love or what you do in the bedroom. Everyone's fine just the way they are. And now it's like, oh, you like dudes? Well, we gotta cut your dick off, and then we're, you know, or if you like, you think you're a dude, we're gonna cut your tits off and give you an arm dick. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This is gonna get in trouble on YouTube. But I mean, it's interesting because we don't talk to a lot of people, you know, that identify that way. So it's interesting to hear, because with the one guy we did talk to was like, it's fucking crazy. It feels like I've gone back to like 1980.
Yeah. No, I'm so grateful I didn't grow up in this time with parents who wanted to go along with that shit, because really and truthfully, that whole thing, I'm just going to say it. It's about coming to accept your own inner yin and yang, masculine, feminine energy, and your own unique balance of that. And it's not about anything external. And that is criminal to put that into a child's mind who's vulnerable. You know, children just need to go, I'm pretty awesome inside. oh, I guess the outside's pretty cool too. But you got to help them love and embrace that inside first, you know, and that is just, everyone's got yin and yang energy, male and female. We've all got our own unique blend or ratio or balance of that, you know, and I think helping kids to love and embrace that internally and find their own natural balance point with that, that's what's missing from this whole woke approach to it. And that infuriates me. I get really mad at the medicalization of everything and the harm that comes to people from that. But again, do I go rage against it, which I do some days? Do I go jump on a Twitter thread and or do I go breathe, let it go, refocus on what I'm here to do? And that's what I have to do. But I tell you what was really fascinating to me, I guess I kind of got to where I thought of myself, oh, I guess I'm left wing, or I don't know if I ever said I was a Democrat, but left wing. And then the last few years happened and I was like, holy shit, I have so much more in common with my very Republican family members.
That's what I found out. Yeah, it turns out I got called a Nazi so many times over the last 3 years. It's crazy, just because I wanted people to leave their house and make their own medical decisions.
Yep. I got called something I won't say so you don't get censored yesterday on Instagram, because I got into one of those threads that I hardly ever do it, but I did it this one time and I got called a anti something I won't say because I don't want you censored. But anyway, it was my reminder, don't put your energy into it. For me personally, I'm not saying there aren't people who shouldn't be warriors, because I've seen the warrior archetype. There are people on this planet that are here to rage against the machine and be warriors. That's not my archetype. If I go down that road, I get depleted. I get worn out. I'm not here doing what I need to do. Yeah.
Interesting. I deleted one of my comments today. I hadn't posted it yet. I wrote it out and I'm like, I don't want to get into this. Like, and I just thought, I just took it away. I'm like, I don't want to start playing this game because it's so easy just on X to just go like, what
it's throwing it at
you
you.
talking about? I mean,
X has figured out your political leanings, and it's like, we need Graham for a couple more minutes today. What about this? What about that? What about a little bit of this? Yeah, how about some trans stuff, or how about some climate change, or what do we need?
It's probably Canadian politicians just spewing.
You got to really watch that little box up in the top corner, because it'll constantly like revert back to. I think there's one that's just your followers, and then one's for you, and the for you one is fucking with you all the time. It's trying to get you to engage with whatever we're calling Twitter or X these days.
I don't use
once you type in that comment, it's like the algo knows you did that, and it's like, oh fuck, we almost had him.
I don't use the other one. I only use the for you. I don't use following one.
It's the AI energy vampire. It's like, oh, look at all these people. We can suck their life force away with this shit by getting them angry and worked up. And I mean, it had been like 8 months since I'd fallen into it until I made a comment. It got me sucked in, but I pulled back out. I'm not going back into it. I'm good now. I don't need to go down that rabbit hole for a while.
I just mute all replies so I can just like swoop in and drop my like little comment and move on in the world. And if I never want to know what happened, I never have to know, unless if I do want, I have just like a box in the corner that I actually have to go open up. But I prefer not to. I'll just swing by, say some shit, you know, usually against politicians. I just can't help myself with these fuckers. I just can't. And everything I found in the Canadian Charter of Rights says I have the right to say whatever the fuck I want to my elected officials, as long as it's not hate speech, I guess, which I haven't done. So I'm going to write a letter to Twitter and try and get this account back yet, because I thought I did break the law in Canada, but after deep diving into our free speech laws, I don't think I did. I think everything I did was A-okay, which was thanks to a listener. I forget who it was, Graham. Oh, it was the show you went on.
But they've defined hate speech. So they've.
Oh no, they haven't really. I mean, we'll get into that on the next round, because it's pretty vague. But I mean, but nothing I did could be construed as hate speech. Maybe abuse.
Everything is hate speech these days, according to them. So Yeah, just don't
That's
play
true.
that game
It's
box.
pretty
I-
ill-defined. It's pretty
Very.
ill-defined, probably by design.
Absolutely, absolutely. I did want to share a little bit more about the ancestral stuff with you because it is so profound. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't grow up in a family that really talked about the ancestors, like we could feel them and talk to them. You know, here in Hawaii, people who are more connected to their native ways are very much understand the importance of the ancestors, feel that connection with them. I met this woman here. She was older. She's a spiritual teacher, and she would talk to her deceased mother like she was in the room with her all the time. And it didn't seem like she was crazy. It seemed kind of awesome because she was that connected. I think you look at like some Asian cultures, they'll have like a little temple or altar with pictures of their family members, burn incense, burn candles to honor them. You know, I think that stuff is powerful. And I think we kind of got a little cheated in the West because we haven't valued that connection. And that ancestral connection is so powerful. I grew up in the church. There's a scripture where I believe it was Paul, the Apostle Paul, I think said, "We are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. Therefore, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and run the race marked out for us with perseverance." And when that great cloud of witnesses he mentions, to me, he's talking about all the ancestors and spirits watching you like, come on, you can do this, you can do this. Now, let's say you're a kid in high school running track and field. Your family member can't come out of the stands and run the race for you. But guess what? They can cook you a really good meal the night before so you're carved up. They can buy you the best running shoes so you're ready to go. They can take you to practices and help you prepare for that race. I feel like that's kind of how our ancestors are. They're up in the stands watching us, cheering us on, doing things behind the scenes to help us live our best life. And let me tell you, we need that more than ever right now because the world is kind of a shit show. So it can get better. And that's part of it too with the discernment. I feel like our ancestors can help us discern, is this thing over here that sounds crazy in alignment or not? You know, I think if we get into judgment, good, bad, good, evil, whatever, maybe we get a little distracted. Maybe the better question is this thing that politician is saying in alignment with truth for me, yes or no? And feel that answer within. And I can't tell you how many people I've met who say, oh, I can't meditate. I can't meditate. We take a few breaths. I make them close their eyes. We ask a question and they feel the answer. You know, it's that simple. Not everyone's visual. I'm very visual when I close my eyes. A whole lot of stuff happens up in here. Maybe my pineal gland produces more pinealine than someone else's, or DMT or whatever neurotransmitter. But I'm visual, but I know a lot of people that aren't. But they can feel it. They can feel the energy if they're less visual. They can feel a word or two. And just man, I had my friend's grandmother died and he had a dream and she came and said goodbye the night she died. His mom calls him the next day. He's like, Grandma died, didn't she? She's like, how'd you know that? And then he's driving to the funeral and the smell of her house is in his truck. How did that happen? You know, I had a client. Her grandmother died. The smell of her grandmother's house came to her house 2,000 miles away. How did that happen? You know, like, I mean, it's pretty cool. They're here to help us. They're here to go, all right, I can't go live it for you. I can't go fight the battles for you, but I sure can do things behind the scenes. I can open doors for you. I can bring resources your way. I can fill you with courage and confidence and motivation. And sometimes they're like, get your ass in there and do it. Stop being a victim, you know, do it. Grandmother tree today. I went to see grandmother or grandfather. My friend was like, which one do you want to talk to, grandma or grandpa? I said, I'm going to go talk to grandmother. She's tough love. She's like, why are you playing that small game? Like you're not good enough, or, you know, why are you playing small? Stop it. Knock it off. Get your ass in there. You deserve good things. Stop playing like you don't. You deserve good things. Go get good things. They're waiting for you. Just stop playing small and being a victim. And I needed that, you know, love it.
Awesome. That sounds great. Before we let you go, can you mention any other supernatural experiences that you had when you were young, or that maybe helped you awaken? And, you know, I do love that sort of premise of, you know, when things happen like that, sometimes you can just ignore it or you can put it on the back burner, but sometimes it's just enough to kind of push you towards a new reality.
Absolutely. I want to tell you the scary story because it's pretty powerful. So here on this island many years ago, I had a friend, and she was from another country, and we did some work together, and I kept feeling like her ancestral energy. I wasn't sure what was there, but I kept feeling it. And I said, hey, let's do a meditation together. And we go sit down in this quiet place and we do a meditation. And I see what looks like a ventriloquist dummy and a little bit like Chucky. Remember Chucky from Child's Play movies? Chucky, ventriloquist dummy. It was I know that sounds so dumb, but let me tell you, if you saw this thing in your third eye, you would have freaked the fuck out. It was the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. And it was mocking energy. It was just this mocking, kind of like Chucky mocks,
Yeah.
It was that energy, but it was a ventriloquist dummy seated in a chair. And I just said to her, I said, I don't know what this is. I've never seen anything like this before. I've never felt this scared in my life. This is weird. And she's like, I know exactly what it is. I said, well, tell me, because I don't know what it is and I don't like it. She's like, it's the mocking spirit that follows me around. And it says to me, I'm going to get you just like I got your mom and your sister. Well, It turns out she was about 36 at the time, and her mom and sister had both committed suicide. It was either age 37 or 38, both of them. Her mom killed herself when she was like 38. Her sister did the same thing when she was that age. And the spirit is like taunting her, following her around, saying, I'm going to get you just like I got them. And she legit had a fear of this. So long story short, we tuned in, we meditated, we prayed. It turns out it was tied to a family curse. And I don't want to be paranoid like a curse is going to destroy you. But there was something many generations back her ancestors had done to the people of the land who were native to that land.
Wow.
And I, since it was a male ancestor, did something sexual to a female that was native to that area. And it was ugly. And they put a curse on the family. And it resulted in horrendous mental illness for many generations. So she is now in her mid-40s and very much alive, I'm happy to say. And basically the message was, you got to go work with a native healer shaman type that can understand the energy and kind of give you a little guidance. And as far as I know, she did, because things were pretty good now. But we got to heal that old ancestral stuff. Heal it. Like, I had to heal some big family stuff in order to move forward. But when I did, I can't tell you. I mean, I was mad. I didn't talk to my parents for 5 years. I am so grateful for them. We don't think the same. I'm not telling them I'm on this podcast. They wouldn't understand it. They'd probably judge it. Whatever. I love them. I accept them as they are now, because my ancestors were like, you need to deal with this and forgive. You need to move forward. You need to stop being petty. And I think not only can they do that, but they can help us find purpose. They can help us. We're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. They can help us go within and find it. Very, very powerful. And we find them and access them through within ourselves.
That's fascinating. It kind of reminds me of some of the past life work that people have done when it's really like sometimes just the acknowledgement of that, even just the learning about it, the acknowledgement is enough to start the healing or even do the healing process. You don't even have to do a lot of work afterwards. It's just that you've acknowledged, hey, this happened to me in a past life. That's why I have this fear now, or that's why I'm sick now, or whatever. And that's enough. But do you have any advice for people that have sort of spiritual encounters or I don't want to get too descriptive in this, but that have encounters that they don't like, they don't want? Like, what would you suggest for people to how to get rid of that?
Yeah, I do know someone who's a medium but resisted it for many years. So he would get like sensations or feelings of positive entities and energies and negative ones both. I've known a few mediums. The negatives scare them so much they don't want to look at it. But really, it's a matter of going, what do you want? What are you here for? And just, if you feel comfortable doing that. If you don't, you work with your own ancestral spirits, and say, I don't want to talk to that.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
And you help me understand what that thing is, what it wants. Sometimes negative stuff shows up because there's shit we need to deal with that we're avoiding. A lot of times negative entities show up because there's shit we need to deal with that we're avoiding. And sometimes it's a matter of that. Sometimes it's just, oh, I'm a sensitive being, so they're attracted to my light or something. And you just have to put up shields and boundaries. I do a grounding and shielding practice every day, not because I'm paranoid the spirits are going to get me. It's kind of like, you live in Alberta, it's December, or you live in Saskatchewan, right? It's December. You're not going outside without a coat on because you don't want to freeze to death, not because you're afraid of the cold. I just kind of shield myself in light every day. And then it helps me not absorb all the stuff that's going on. It's really helpful.
All right. I like that. I like that ancestor take. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So even if you're not sure about your lineage and all that, you could still just ask in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't felt way back generations in my own family. I'd love to know more, but it's only been my grandparents, primarily my mom's parents, that have been showing up a lot for me. And maybe that's their purpose on the other side, partly to be spirit guide for me or something. I'm not sure. They're just the ones that show up the most frequently.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a great chat. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Graham. Anytime. And if you want your own, you just let me know. We'll do a one-on-one. Same for sure. Anytime.
Yeah. And if we end up on the big, if we end up on Hawaii at all, we'll definitely let you know in case our paths are going to cross. Yeah.
I will tell you some great places to hold an event. Really amazing.
Yeah, for sure. So tell people how you can, or how did you name your website as well? I'd like to ask you that before we go.
Interestingly enough, in 2014, I went on a yoga retreat in Bali. Bali is cool, but a little overdeveloped, a little overhyped. But I had a very powerful experience there with getting clear guidance. You're not supposed to be working nonprofit the rest of your life, which is what I had been doing, and I kind of hated it. I got this clear guidance. You're supposed to be a soul coach. You're supposed to do more one-on-one work, deep soul work with people, maybe some group work as well, but you're not supposed to be sitting in an office all day.
Wow.
And I was thrilled. I got my first 2 clients on that trip in Bali. One was a woman on the retreat with me, and the other one was a guy from the Netherlands sitting on the plane out of Bali next to me. I got 2 clients right away. It hasn't always been that easy, but it was very clear. I get home from the airport, 30 hours of flying, sit down. I go to sit on my bedroom floor to meditate. What do I call this thing? My ass isn't on the floor yet, and I hear the word Shekhinah. It's actually a word. And if you say it in Hebrew, pardon my pronunciation, but it's something along the lines of Shekhinah, which is like the divine presence with us. Some would say, like more mystical sects of Judaism would say it's like the divine feminine presence. So like the nurturing, the care, the let me hold space for you kind of energy. And it was just clear, this is the name you're supposed to use. So I call my website Shek Holistic, SHEK holistic.com, because it's a little easier to spell that way, but it was very clear. And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know.
Wow.
I had to look it up. The very first thing that popped up when I Googled it was a drag queen named Shekhinah. And I was like, I don't think that's my purpose or my calling in this life. So I was like, I had to scroll a bit. And then
it's a Kabbalistic word, isn't it, too?
Yeah. And in Kabbalah, it's a little bit more that divine feminine presence.
I always pronounce it wrong. I always pronounce it like Shekhinah instead of Shekhinah.
Yeah, I don't even know how to pronounce it right, but I think I have heard.
I think you're right.
Yeah, in Hebrew it's Shekhinah. Like I can't even do it. But it was very clear, very powerful. Yeah.
So that's Shek SHEK holistic.com.
That's it. Absolutely.
Is there any other ways you want people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, on Instagram, I'm Shek Holistic, SHEK HOLISTIC. Facebook, I'm just Toby Gant. And then your listeners can get a 25% discount if they want to do any one-on-one work. It's Grimerica 25 is the coupon code at checkout.
All right. Awesome.
Off. Yeah, this has been amazing. I've loved listening to you guys for many years now.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for coming
Well,
on.
no, you've played a role in my awakening too, because you've helped me think about things in different ways. Open my eyes and ears to, well, maybe that. You really brought about a shift, and I don't want you to sell yourself short on that, because it's been very profound for me, and especially during the dark ages of COVID, getting so frustrated. You guys talking, even if you were talking about what was broken, it brought hope. It brought hope to me in that very dark time that felt very hopeless. So thank you.
No problem. Thank you. That's amazing to hear. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, peace, blessings, joy, and abundance to you, brother.
All right. You too, buddy. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
See ya. All right. Darren is not here. Trying to figure out how to end this. That was our chat with Toby. Hope you guys enjoyed it. You can check out all his information in the show notes. And thanks for listening. And we'll see you next week. Darren usually does the spiel. So, of course, you can support the show at grimerica.ca. Find all our links to Contact at the Cabin and Adult Brain audiobooks as well. And you can hit the support button there too. And thanks for watching and listening. And we will see you next week.